Well, it's only right that having come under such criticism prior to the coffee break, that he does have the right of reply. Please welcome, should I say, Mr. Controversy, the very own Carl Benjamin to the platform.
Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all well. I was actually changing in the bathroom when Mr. Oakley was giving his speech, so I actually missed it. But I picked up a copy of The Guardian and basically went through his complaints, and I've decided that I'm not really going to address them. I'm really interested in talking about the future, things that are actually things I think are genuinely important. Because I think that we need to stop apologizing to the people who hate us. There's very little we're going to be able to do to actually change their mind, and if we stick to our guns, then I think that we are essentially unstoppable. So, it's going to be a strange thing that I'm going to propose, but I think at this point we need to essentially stop talking about Brexit. Now, I realize that's not necessarily a popular thought, and I realize that many people are going to be skeptical of this, but I believe that the Conservatives are essentially between, I keep saying the word essentially, I'm so sorry. I'm nervous. The Conservatives are between a rock and a hard place. The writing is clearly on the wall. Boris will be the next Prime Minister, and he is well aware that failing to get Britain out of the European Union means the death of the Conservative Party. Everyone says never trust a Tory, but, well, they're always going to act in their own interests. The Conservative Party is a very old party, and they're well aware of this, and they're very committed to the party itself. So there's no doubt that he is going to do as he said, leave deal or no deal. He's even vowed to fire any cabinet ministers that oppose a no-deal exit of the EU by Halloween. So after 3 grueling years of Conservative mismanagement of Brexit, it looks like there is actually light finally at the end of the tunnel. So on the issue of Brexit, it appears to me that UKIP can actually do very little. We've got a few months left, and, well, we need to think about how we're going to use them, because once the issue of Brexit has passed, a certain other party whose sole platform is that issue won't have any choice but to wither and die. And so this will leave the ground open for UKIP to do as we please. And the question is, what pleases us? What do we intend to do? We have to be crystal clear on the kind of party that we want to be and what we want to achieve. Now, it seems to me that the most immediate challenge for UKIP is, in fact, to set its own house in order. I think it could be broadly agreed that UKIP is a grassroots party with the common interests of the British people at heart. Essentially, we could be described as nativist, which puts us at odds with the globalist Westminster consensus. This is why there is absolutely no point trying to pander to the media. Axiomatically, they oppose UKIP's very reason for existing. They do not love this country. In fact, they despise it. They despise the people, the history, and the culture of Britain. They consider the country to be racist. They consider our politicians to be inadequate, and they consider our impact on world history to be shameful. An unholy alliance of self-hating Marxists, fanatical Islamists, and wealthy internationalists, combined with the moral weakness of the Conservatives, has put us in this untenable position. And I believe that it was against these forces that Brexit emerged as a howl of pain. The progressive establishment would rather see our country subsumed into an international order and ruled from a foreign capital. And all of this will be paid for by the sweat of the ordinary working folk. The internationalists do not care if London and the other towns and cities of the UK were to become majority non-British. In fact, they would see it as desirable. I think that UKIP fundamentally rejects this worldview. It seems to me that UKIP is a proud, patriotic party that loves this country, its institutions and traditions, and the part we played in civilizing the world. It is for this reason that every interaction UKIP has with the media is framed by the media from the perspective of an opponent. It has always been this way for UKIP, and always will be this way. UKIP's relationship with the media is irreconcilable, while the media is as it is. I believe that bending the knee at this point is a futile gesture. It makes us seem weak, and the way that they will deal with us in return will make us seem ineffectual. This leads to the second issue that I believe UKIP must settle. What is to be done about the term far right? This undefined term is a scary-sounding catch-all for nativist movements outside of the mainstream. I see UKIP as an essentially centrist, liberty-loving, patriotic party that appears to have a keen sense of social responsibility and distributive justice. Which is presumably why I've annoyed Paul Oakley so much. Since the media itself are calling us far right and not Nazi and fascist, and they certainly would if they thought it, then we should simply ignore it. If my sense of things is correct, we should stop apologizing, stop addressing it, stop validating it, because it really doesn't matter. UKIP's best option, as far as I see it, is to work hard on growing its own presence to project its message without apology. The question is, what will that message be? Whatever it is, it must be decisive, divisive, and in the interest of the country as a whole. This method, as with Brexit, will polarize the country's opinion on a topic and put the majority of people on our side. I propose that we start with certain key issues that are already known to be popular and already conceded by the major parties. For example, the Conservatives promised to get immigration down to the tens of thousands. This is a policy I'd be in full agreement with, as would, I think, most of the country, and polling shows this. The media, of course, does not like this policy, and so the Conservatives do not pursue it. We could, for example, embrace this policy and in fact go further. As with the Brexit referendum, we want to leave the European Union. We have a very firm and strong position that we are projecting forward into the world. We know what we want. For any issue that we push, we need to have the same sort of framework. So we could, for example, demand a physical cap on the just sheer number of immigrants let into the country in any one year, say 30,000 people. Now, I haven't actually made a note for this, but I think it's worth explaining that this is entirely morally justifiable. No foreigner has a right to be in our country. They are here at our discretion. In much the same way, of course, that we all accept that we have no right to someone else's country. We have had 20 years of open borders, and it has dramatically changed the landscape of the nation. It's one of those things that it's completely reasonable to say, right, there has to come an end to this policy, or there will come an end to Britain. The reaction from Westminster and the establishment to this demand will be hysterical. The smears will fly, the insults will be like bullets. The oppression will come in whatever form they can justify. But if we hold our nerve and make our case persuasively, I believe the public will agree that that would be the most sensible policy for the country. The alternative, open borders with a net influx of 300,000 per year is nothing if not downright irresponsible. The same could be said for hate speech laws, the preaching of fundamentalist strains of Islam, and radical far-left ideology. Each of these are a threat to the liberty, stability, and integrity of the nation. What's worse is that the politically correct sword of Damocles hangs above the heads of us all in case we dare voice an original thought of our own and speak out against the approved set of lies. What I am proposing is daunting because it will undoubtedly come at a high price. Moral conviction will be necessary in order to hold our ground against the inevitable onslaught that will come as a result of this. Once they realize that the slings and arrows have no effect, once we stop defending ourselves from the judgments of our enemies, then we'll finally be able to advance. One street stall, one public protest, one social media post at a time. I think that this is the only way we have to restore the traditional liberal order of Britain. In this day and age, this would make UKIP a truly revolutionary party. And as George Orwell famously said, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. Ladies and gentlemen, as uncomfortable as it might be, it is our duty to be the truth tellers. Thank you.